Hello everyone. This is one of my first video ever, so please indulge. What I wanted to show you today is how to create your flight plan in Microsoft Simulator 2020. I am not a pilot, I'm not an expert. Half of the things I'm going to say probably are wrong. I'm just an enthusiast who would like to also help people in the same situation on how to actually set up a flight plan in order to use your autopilot and to allow essentially to experience also the plane taking you to your final destination. So the first thing you want to do is to click on World Map. This is the entry point. This is the previous configuration I had, so let me reset it so we can start from scratch. Okay, perfect. This is the map. You can choose to start and land whatever you want. For this first exercise, we're going to do something very short and easy and quick, which is actually a flight between Zurich and Basel, which is very short. It's a 1 hour drive with a car, so I'm pretty sure with the airplane it's going to be way shorter, much faster. So without further ado, how do you do that? So the first thing you want to do is to select your departure airport. So this is Zurich. Notice that the dot of 16 runway is here. This means essentially that your plane will be essentially where this place of Bocorn dude is actually right now. 16 runway means that you take off from this point and then you will have to accelerate, and then this is the moment this is the point where you actually take off. You can actually choose to attack it from the other way by clicking this other point. This becomes an 34 runway, and then you can see just the dot is this one. The trajectory will be the opposite one. It's up to you which destination you would like to start from. We will see later on the impact on our journey. So, but before we actually look into that, we have to select also our arrival, and this is going to be Basel. So the first thing that the game actually prompts you or offers you is to fly on a straight line between Zurich and Basel, like a very easy peasy direct flight. If you zoom in into Zurich, you will see we selected 34 runway, so we will actually take off here, and then it will say let's immediately turn left and to reach Basel, right? However, if you want to make things a little bit better and interesting, you can actually decide not to do a direct flight, but to actually do an IFR flight, which I think stands for Instrumental Flight Rule or Rules, where you can select whether you want to do a low altitude or a high altitude flight. I'm going to select low altitude because this is such a short flight. There is no mountains in the middle, and everything is more or less at the same altitude. And then as you can see, the system already prompts you and offers you a different journey, right? Instead of going straight, you will you should and will in the flight plan go to Amrup and then to Elbeg. But take a look at what happens also when you look into the destination. It says that you should land with this weird, almost 90 degrees angle, which makes it impossible. Essentially something that yeah, it's weird, it's wrong. You have two options now. You can actually you can actually decide to change the plan. You can actually add maybe a few more points here, like you can add DevD, Hombo, SB, and then bam, you can land. Or you can actually allow the system to do it for you. So this is runway 15, we've seen it before. Let me show you again how to see the runway. So you can actually zoom in and hover here. So this is 15, this is 33, this is 08, and this is 26. So we want to land on 15 instead of here. So we can actually say, give me an instrumental landing system on runway 15, Y. And now you will see how everything has changed. Now the plan has changed from Amrup, we go to Elbeg, and then there is an Altic, which I'm not sure where it is, maybe it's this point here, but you can see now there is a path that is pink, and the reason for that being this is actually the approach, the new approach that the system now will register into your airplane. You can actually change it also to Z. It's just a different journey. It's just a different path. This is a bit easier. It's just a straight line with a turn. But let's try to make it nicer and interesting. We go for the Y approach. And so basically that's it. We know where to start from. We know the trajectory. We know where we should start turning here. The flight plan is complete. You have to select now the aircraft. I strongly suggest to start with this one. It's actually a very nice aircraft, quite performing, quite some cruise speed. There's no auto thrust, so auto throttle. You will have to actually control it yourself. But all things aside, it's a very nice and stable airplane, easy to control, and I think also fully functioning, more or less. So totally recommend this Daher TBM 930. Let's select the flight conditions. Right now it's actually raining outside, but well, it was raining and now it's sunny again, cloudy, but whatever. We're going to take whatever the game offers us. And if you also want to take a look at the bright picture of what is going to happen, you can click here, Navlog, and this essentially summarizes everything. We start from Zurich, we should climb up to 6,000 feet, and this is cruise. Cruise means this is the moment where your airplane should be more or less stable at a fixed altitude, so 6,000 feet, and then we stay at this altitude. When afterwards in Elbeck we start the descent a little bit to Altic, and this is where probably in Altic we will need to engage our approach. We will see later on in the actual flight. Okay, enough talking. Let's jump into the airplane. Here we are, clear for takeoff. Let me click here.
Aural warning, okay.
Perfect. So here we are in the aircraft, ready for our flight to Basel. We can hide the yoke. This is something I like to do all the time because they are just in the way. Very quickly around the aircraft, right? Control 1 zooms here, Control 2, Control 3, Control 4. These are very nice and handy shortcuts. If you click it again, you go back to the previous manual camera setup. So this is really great. This is one of the keystrokes I use the most. Few things about the aircraft. So the aircraft does not have auto throttle, so we will have to control the throttle manually, but it does have a full autopilot that we are going to configure later on together. Actually, let's jump into it right now. So the first thing you want to do before enabling autopilot, and that's it, you want to check whether your flight plan is in the system. So you click here, you then click on flight plan, you wait a little bit, and then you see whether the flight plan that we set up in the menu is actually the one here. As you can see, we have our Zurich, Amrup, Elbeck, and Basel. Okay. If we zoom out, you see that we have exactly the plan that we created before in the menu. So it's already in here. Everything is in here. Everything is fine. So that's fine. So flight plan is okay. We can also enable weather. As you can see, well, I don't think the world is such a straight line, but anyway, yes, the weather in Zurich is like that. Apparently in Basel is a much better day. But anyway, let's set up the autopilot. Okay, for the autopilot we need to look at this area of the aircraft. So the first thing that we want to take a look at is actually the flight plan again, specifically at the altitude that we're supposed to reach. In this case it says 6,000 when you get to Amrup. So in our climb towards Amrup we have to get to 6,000 feet. So let's do this already. By moving this knob, as you can see here, we can select the altitude. So I'm going to move the knob to 6,000 feet. Alright, Then I'm going also to select the vertical speed, and this will inform the aircraft that we expect the aircraft to climb at a certain rate. And we're going to increase the vertical speed to something like 2000. Okay, perfect. So this is it. Another thing to look at, and this is the altitude, this is set, and that's perfect. Another thing to look at is actually this compass here in the middle. This tells us essentially our current heading, 334, our heading if we were to control the aircraft manually with or semi-automatically with the autopilot by using the heading, and course here is 314 degrees, which is exactly the point of the arrow, which is instead the GPS. So this is actually our flight plan, and our flight plan is via GPS. So this is very important that we actually have this selected. You can change it here and change to VOR or whatever other direction, but this will make essentially the autopilot fail, because I mean the autopilot will follow actually these directions and not the other ones. So make sure that you have FMS. I think stands for Flight Management System. This will actually follow the flight plan with the GPS. All right. Anyway, what we are interested into is also having the flight director on. This was probably already the case before, because we select the vertical speed. The flight director is this pink arrow. You will see later on that this is actually an arrow. Oh, super cool, someone is actually taxiing. This is very nice. But this is not enough. We are not telling anything to the autopilot. We actually want to follow the nav, right? And as you can see here, there is a nav button, and we can press it. And at this point, as you can see here, dude, be careful. Nice. The flight management system here is now enabled, which says navigate using FMS, and this is actually confirmed. This is essentially the place where the autopilot tells you what it is actually enabled. This aircraft also has yaw dampers. They essentially allow the plane to be a little bit more stable when flying, so we want to enable those. So you have these YD settings here, also confirmed. And everything that we did so far did not matter unless we enable the autopilot. So when we engage the autopilot, as you can see, autopilot is on, and now the autopilot is actually in control of the aircraft. This, of course, matters only when you're traveling, when you're moving. As long as you're standing, nothing really is happening. The autopilot, as you can see, gets a little bit confused, so we're going to just disable it, and we are going to take off manually. So takeoff is very simple. We have
412 requesting pushback.
We have
412 pushback request accepted.
Good. Happy for you. We have flaps. Flaps are in 3 positions on this aircraft. We have the first at the top, which is up, which is this one, up, which is the one that we're going to use when we are cruising in a normal setup. TO for takeoff, these are the ones that we're going to use afterwards for takeoff, is a middle setting, and LDG, which stands for landing, which is the setup that we're going to use afterwards for landing the aircraft. So let's leave the flaps on the takeoff position. So another thing, and I think one of the things that confuses the autopilot a lot, is this setting together with the trim. The trim, I totally recommend you to set it up on your clutch, of course, but also on your pad. I'm using an Xbox gamepad. So the trim is actually this disc here, right? I control them with the buttons of my gamepad. Okay, this is the one that controls in a stable situation, so without you using the yoke, the current, let's say where the aircraft is currently pointing. you want to make sure that it's as stable as possible before you engage the autopilot, as well as remember to move the flaps in the upright position.
Requesting the end of pushback.
Oh god.
412 request to end pushback received.
Someone suddenly parked in front of us. Anyway, collisions with other aircrafts do not exist in this game, so...
Zurich ground,
okay.
412 with Quebec
One last
ready
thing
to taxi
is
airport.
about this. This is currently...
412 taxi to and hold short of runway 34 via taxiway Mike Echo Echo Niner. Contact tower on 118.1
Yeah,
ready.
yeah. So this is actually our alerts and warnings. So our first alert was that we have park brakes on, which is not really an alert. It's actually something
Taxiing
I'm
hold
glad.
short runway 34 via taxiway Mike Echo Echo Niner. Pull out 412.
But the second thing is that we have the alert separator on. We want to switch them off. So you can see the warning disappeared. Oh cool, the aircraft in front of us left. So let's repeat what is going to happen. I'm going to accelerate, I'm going to take off, I'm going to put the flaps on, I'm going to control the trim such as the aircraft is more or less stable. When the situation is stable, I'm going to hit autopilot, and this should be it. So let's try.
Zurich Tower Swiss 19
some boost.
1 miles southeast inbound 40 ME runway 34 approach.
Take a look at these parameters always. Avoid errors, avoid alerts.
40 ME runway 34 approach. Altimeter 29.9 1 wind 191 at tree. Cleared 40 ME runway 34 approach Swiss 19.
As you can see, the trim is already off, I believe. It's really pulling up. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm so horrible at this. And here we are. We just took off. We should be climbing more or less. Let me adjust the trim. At more or less 2000, which is not what we are doing right now. Anyway, this is our current flight director. So the first thing I want to do before we climb further is to adjust the trim. So I go to 0
for Dayer Golf Sierra Alpha.
and as you can see,
Zurich departure Dayer Alpha Sierra
the plane
X-ray Golf
is actually
Sierra Alpha
pulling
is at
up
2,100
tremendously,
feet, climbing 6,000
greatly,
feet.
whatever. It's
Dayer
really
Alpha
horrible.
Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Alpha Zurich departure continue as planned.
So now we are flat and the aircraft is more or less stable, still up a little bit. So I'm going to adjust the trim down. Alright. Let me reduce the speed. Let me bring back the flaps. Let me disengage the landing gears, and now I'm gonna hit autopilot. And as you can see, slowly the aircraft is able to get exactly in the direction we wanted. Wow. It's really cloudy here. Since the throttle of this aircraft is not automatic, we will have to check the speed ourselves. As you can see, we are running a bit slow, so I'm going to increase the throttle. And as you can see, there's a purple line here that is going up. The top of the line, or the bottom, if you're decelerating, is actually the predicted speed of the aircraft with the given throttle setting. So I am actually accelerating. Keep an eye here, we are actually stressing the aircraft a bit too much. So I'm going to decrease that around 100%. Yes, perfect. And yeah, we should probably stay below 110, but it's okay. And now as you can see, the speed is increasing because we are not climbing anymore that hard. We are actually getting stable, we are actually leveling. which means that also the speed will increase. And as you can see, the predicted speed is growing and growing and growing and growing until it will stabilize at some point, I hope. Our vertical speed is currently 150, so this should stabilize in a short while. We are running pretty fast now with the engine. We are not really being gentle. Anyway, we are more or less at a stable speed. As you can see, flaps are up, landing gears are up, everything is fine. Navigation mode is on, the flight director of course is on, autopilot, yaw damper. If you disable the yaw damper, you see that you might feel sometimes that the aircraft will be shaking left and right, shaking. So yeah, keep it on. It doesn't hurt. Actually, it's better for our passengers. They seem happy. All right. So is everything fine? I guess so. I will say so. This is us. We're approaching Amrup. We're supposed to be at 6,000 feet when we get there. We were climbing. We reached the altitude, didn't we? Yes, 6,000. We are flat, stable, leveled. Everything is very smooth and nice. What about fuel? Fuel is here. This is the left fuel quantity and right fuel quantity. So as you can see, we have a little bit more fuel on the right than on the left. This is because I think this aircraft can only source fuel from one tank at a time, not both at the same time like airliners. And that's why you have, oh god, what have I done? I'm a monster. Uh-oh. Did I switch off the aircraft? Yes. Emergency.
Dare Golf Sierra Alpha, contact approach on 129.25.
Oops. Please, recover.
Sierra Alpha. Approach Dare Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Alpha 6,000 feet.
Dare Alpha Sierra X-Ray
Yes,
Golf
we're
Sierra
back in the
Alpha
game.
approach continue as planned. Altimeter
Anyway.
29.901.
So let's be very careful with the buttons we touch. Whew, that was close. Anyway. So we were saying fuel quantity is actually so the aircraft is actually switching automatically between left and right, and this is because here on the top we have an automatic fuel selector. Otherwise we will need to do exactly what I did here, switching from left to right. It's a bit weird, but yeah, that's how they designed the aircraft, so we're just gonna stick to that. Cool. So we are clear, we are good to go. The aircraft will follow the direction from the autopilot. Let's enjoy our flight. I will be speaking later when something more interesting happens. Another cool thing you can do is actually to have also the wind here. This is helpful for later on when we will be landing. You can click, I think, here. Yes, and then wind. I like option 1. Yeah, so you have strength of the wind from left to right or from the other direction, up to down, like towards you, I guess. Yeah, just for you to know that all these nice settings are in there. You can also control them from here. I think from MFD you can decide to show those here. Yeah, here, exactly here. So you can have this AOA option 1 for wind and communications, basic. All right.
And maintain 5,500 feet there.
Okay, so this is our cue that we have to decrease our altitude. So we can select 5,500, 500. We select vertical speed, which is at the moment 0. So nothing will happen. And then we can decrease it, for instance, 500. And this says the aircraft will decrease its altitude at a rate of 500 feet per minute. As you can see, if the more we go down, the more the speed increases, of course, because gravity is helping us. And here you also have some interesting, an interesting pattern, right? What is this telling us? This is the overspeed. You should never get into this area with the aircraft. This means that you are running too fast and will render the control of the vehicle extremely hard. But as we seen before, this purple line also indicates the predicted speed at a given throttle, and I'm safe to assume that we can just keep everything as is. We are running pretty fast, which I'm doing on purpose because I want to get there as soon as possible. But of course, feel free to adjust the speed the way you desire.
Expectile S Yankee runway 15 approach via Altic transition, cleared to Altic Dair Golf Sierra Alpha.
Okay, so the air control traffic, air traffic controls is telling us, please keep the speed below 185 knots. So we are actually way too fast, so I have to decrease the throttle, which I'm doing with the gamepad. This one, let me decrease it, and then let's reach 180-ish by looking again at the predicted speed at the given throttle level. So this is stabilizing around 215, so we have to keep on decreasing. So I'm going to press buttons on the gamepad even more. It's the B button by default, actually. So almost there. Let's go 180. much. Too much. All right. Pretty much where I wanted to land. Yeah. Okay, let's leave it like that. Which was 48%. This is very helpful, I believe, for those situations. I mean, this aircraft does not have auto throttle, and therefore this means that is it auto throttle or auto thrust? I don't know. Again, I'm not a pilot, but anyway. So this means you have to control everything manually. Okay, let's enjoy the rest of the flight. This is interesting because this one here is where we are supposed to land, but because we chose to follow this approach, our journey is going to last a little bit longer. Yeah, just FYI, that's where we are supposed to land. Another thing to add, if you remember at the beginning, before departing, back. Before departing, we were looking at the flight plan, and all this information at the bottom wasn't there. It says user. I think the game is simulating the fact that we have inserted our ILS Y runway 15 approach manually, which actually makes us from user apparently go to Altic, USR, and R274 and all the rest. So what is also interesting to know, and of course we are interested to know all these things, is that from an altitude of 5,500 feet, which is our current altitude, we will need to descend to 4,000 feet. And here we have probably 274, definitely 290, 307. Then we have 323. This is, I'm sure, 104 BL. And then 84 BLM, and then runway 15. So apparently, until the very last moment, 10 nautical miles from the runway, we will need to drop our altitude from 4,000 to 914. Let's see.
Dare Golf Sierra Alpha descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet Dare Golf Sierra Alpha.
Okay, so we have to descend and maintain 4,000 feet. So we do the same exercise as before, 4,000 feet, nothing again changes. Vertical speed, nothing again changes. Let's decrease it to 400, for instance. This indicates that essentially we will get there. Let me do 500, that's a bit better. What the hell? 600. Okay, 500 per minute, right? So from 5.5 to 4 is 3 minutes. In 3 minutes we will get exactly to the desired altitude. As you can see, speed is also increasing because we are descending. So let's again lower the throttle a little bit. We don't need to be extremely fast anyway. Let's be polite and travel within the limits. Another cool thing are these two values here. This OAT and ISA. OAT stands for outside air temperature. This is actually the air temperature outside, so it's 19 degrees at the moment. Whereas the ISA is the international standard atmosphere temperature. Just for you, out of curiosity to know. I think this refers to the temperature actually on the ground, whereas this is the current temperature of the air outside, but I may be mistaken. Anyway, cool to know. curious to see on whether we will be seeing the actual animation of the fuel tank selector going from right to left. Because as you can see, the fuel is 60 on the right and 63 on the left, so it starts to get a little bit unbalanced. I don't know, let's leave it there and see. So switched the, now we're using the left tank. Very nice, very interesting. I mean, it's really nice to see the level of attention to the details, you know, of all the different aircrafts or all these things, like also the temperature of the air, the switch of the fuel tank selector that moves automatically, and all these different things actually makes you appreciate this title, this game, this simulator even more. I am clicking here and there just out of curiosity, and for sure feel free to, I'm not explaining much because there's not much to explain, just having fun. Okay, so since we are here, another thing we can do is actually looking at the checklist. We did skip some of them, of course. So we're cruising, so before the descent, actually, we can run this evaluation. So let's check.
Altimeter setting. Check. Fuel gauges. Check. De-ice system. As required. Inert 7. As required.
Okay, so everything is fine. Let's see also what we are expected to do when we approach in a while. Like
altimeter setting QNH. Set/check. Fuel gauges. Check. De-ice system. As required. Inert 7.
Golf Sierra Alpha, you are 1 4 miles northwest of Basel. Contact tower on 118.3 when inbound.
Tower on 118.3 Dair Golf Sierra Alpha. Tower Dair Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Alpha 14 miles northwest inbound ILS Yankee runway 15 approach.
Dair Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Alpha Tower. Cleared ILS Yankee runway 15 approach. Altimeter 29.9, wind 228 at tree.
Cleared ILS Yankee runway 15 approach Dayer Golf Sierra Alpha.
Okay, okay, very interesting. Well, besides there is actually a plane there, which is probably scary. So you see what happened. They said that we are clear for landing. We're actually aligning to the runway. You can see that one there. That's the runway we have to approach. So the first thing we want to do is actually to click this button, approach. Right now you see we actually intercepted the signal from the runway and the aircraft entered the approach mode. This means that I'm also keeping an eye on the speed, but this also means that of course our altitude settings will not matter anymore because the aircraft is currently approaching the runway. I don't know why we have this warning on. Would be actually very nice to know why. Sorry. I don't know why we have this on. It would be actually very interesting to know why this is happening. According to the checklist, we were supposed to leave them on. So I'm not doing anything. Like the aircraft is in complete control right now. What are these? So this is essentially the area where you should be placing your aircraft to be properly landing onto this runway. I will decrease a little bit again the speed.
Dayer Golf Sierra Alpha cleared to land runway 15. Wind 235 at 4.
Cleared to land runway 15 Dayer Golf Sierra Alpha.
So awesome! They told us that we can land. So this is red. This is because we are still a bit far away. As soon as we will get in the middle of this, which we are about to, you will see they will turn blue. So how do we land? We will change these flaps to landing, and we will also drop the landing gear. I mean, not drop, but let's say put them down. I hope I'm not gonna drop the landing gear. So we are too fast. Interesting. So this is telling us that we are too fast. So let's drop the speed. This is actually, I think, nice in the video game, telling us that we're approaching way too fast. So 30 is idle on this aircraft, so we want to stay at least around 35, I believe. We're going down, so our speed will definitely decrease. So we are approaching really fast actually. Let me put the throttle to 0. Let me move the flaps there. Let me also drop the landing gear. I think this is too fast. This is way too fast. We also don't have the landing gears on. So we have the flaps on landing. Way too fast, and this pad is way too sensitive. So the autopilot is engaged. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Oh, this controller is too sensitive. Okay, we made it. We made it. Let's brake. Let's brake. We have to get around 30 knots.
Dayer Golf Sierra Alpha exit runway when able.
We can actually put the flaps back to their original position, and we can turn left here because this is where we're supposed to exit. So I'm going to decrease the speed and I'm going to turn left. Nice.
Dare Golf Sierra Alpha, contact
Smooth.
ground on 121.605.
And now also in Basel, the weather
121.605 for Dare Golf Sierra Alpha.
is horrible. Started raining outside, just for your information. Let me gain a little bit of speed while I try not. This airplane is really hard to control on the ground, to be honest. Especially the accelerator, the throttle, sorry, whatever, is really impossible to control. Let me use the outside view. I think this is much better and easier. So at 40%, the aircraft actually starts to accelerate a little bit. All right. It's so cool. You see? You can see inside that part of the screen is red. This is because of the actually it is red. You can see the screen is red. Nice attention to details. Very nice job. Very nice piece of work. Yeah, too fast. Should stick around 20. 19, 20. Let's brake a bit. 12. Let's drop the throttle a little bit. So that landing was actually horrible. I was way too fast, and I actually, also the landing gears, everything was wrong. Takes practice, takes time to remember everything. I think I found the speed, 35%. It's a good throttle level. So let's brake. Let's turn here. This is definitely an issue in real life. You don't bump into other aircrafts. Okay, sounds like we found our parking spot here in Basel. Let me drop completely the throttle. Oops, sorry. Too much. Too much. Too much. Yes. Alright, let's try to avoid hitting these people. Let's put the thrust to idle. There we go, 30%. And now, of course, complaining about the park brake, because I put them in parking. We can close this, and then we can go to the checklist and do it properly. We can do the final shutdown. Evaluation. Park brake.
Park brake. Set/on. EXT lights.
So external lights off, off, off.
Off. In lights.
I think they're already off. well, as required, I like them off. So let's do this.
As required. Fuel cell.
Manual,
Man. AP/trims.
off,
Off. Bleed.
bleed off,
Off. Throttle.
we have to wait too much autocomplete. Course finish.
Throttle.
So low idle should be here, then right, high idle, no, no, move, low idle, perfect. Actually, I don't know why in this setting the temperature of the engine goes up like crazy. I don't know if this is actually very healthy, but whatever.
Low idle for 15 seconds.
Okay, and now we have to go and cut off.
Cut off. Inert SEP.
Nice. So, intercept off.
Off. Auxiliary boost PMP.
Off.
Off. Generator. Off. Source, if inert SEP retracted/40 SEC. Off. Crash.
Ah, yeah, okay. This was the button to press. Crash bar down. Perfect. That's it. We parked it. Everything is in order. Cool. So I hope it was helpful. I hope it was not so terrible. Yeah, have fun.